Yes, hello and welcome to the BFL Footy Show for another week, proudly supported by McDonald's Ballarat and also Ballarat Toyota. Once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Shaun Kelly. Welcome aboard, Shaunie.
Thanks, mate. Great to be back again. Another big week of footy coming up, even though it is only a very short week.
Very much so. We should touch on last weekend briefly. Sebastopol.
Yep.
Fantastic win. I know you're out there to see the last quarter.
Yeah, about the last 15 minutes of the game.
And great to see the emotion on so many people's faces after the final siren.
Yeah, it was. We obviously went through this earlier in the week with our footy review show that came on earlier in the week, but it's worth revisiting because it was a fantastic day out at Sebastopol and great reward for the volunteers out there that have put so much into the club and been unrewarded really up until now. And from all reports, the Borough was rocking on Saturday night with their annual ball as well.
Very much so. Moving on to this weekend, Shaunie, a few big games. First game we'll look at is played between Melton and Ballarat. Both teams would go into this game hoping to get the 4 points. Melton will be very disappointed with their loss to Sebastopol last week. Ballarat have been pretty competitive against some good opposition the last month or so.
Yep.
Their last month of footy has probably been their best month of footy so far this year. I think Ballarat can travel down the highway and win this game.
It's interesting. Last time these two teams played was in Ballarat, and obviously round 6. Melton won it, and we all thought it was going to be a launching point for Melton's season. Since then, they've won one game.
Yep. They've
been probably nowhere near where they thought they would have been, but this week they get a couple of handy players back in. Jack Walker coming in from Williamstown's a very, very handy pickup for them to come back into the side this week. They need to save face. Apparently, after the game last week, it was closed doors, players only kind of stuff. Supporters got locked out of the rooms, and just Brad Murphy just getting his players one-on-one. Don't know what was said, but I imagine that Melton would want to come out hard and save face this week at home, in front of their home crowd, and I think I'm going to tip them.
Very good. Redan take on Lake Wendouree. This is, I don't know what the word is, but
blockbuster,
match of the round,
match of the season.
Interestingly, Redan agreed to move the game to Lake Wendouree, which is fantastic. Obviously, playing on a better surface.
Yep.
I think it's a really smart decision by Redan because they want to play on the best surfaces possible leading into the finals.
Correct.
Even though possibly the City Oval might suit their game a little bit more than Wendouree, I think it's a very good decision because if they're good enough, they'll win anyway tomorrow. And I think they'll be a little bit too good for Lake Wendouree. Lake Wendouree got a couple of key players out. Still, Steve Clifton is a massive out for Lake Wendouree. Some other players out of Lake Wendouree team. I'm not too sure, but
a couple missing. Obviously, Isaac Kirby's still not in the side as well. Andrew Pitson, there's a cloud over with the
neck,
with a bit of a neck injury. So some of their key on ballers are missing at the moment. But look, you're right about the move. It was an interesting one, long term. Great move, you're right, because this would have been Redan's last game at the City Oval. They want to get on good tracks before the finals because come finals time, whether they're playing on the Eastern Oval or on Darley Park, it's going to be a good deck.
Sure.
So the last thing they need is to go through a heavy City Oval. Short term, City Oval, you're right, probably would have suited them better because they're more inside.
Yep.
Lakers' game is more running and more outside, and Wendouree Reserve will suit them a lot better than it would have here, where I would have tipped Redan by probably 5 or 6 goals.
Yep.
I reckon Redan will still win because they, apart from that game against Lakers earlier in the season, they haven't showed me a reason to tip against them.
Yep.
It will be close because, yes, Lakers are missing a few, but their depth this year is very, very good. Lucas Anderson has been in great form in the last few weeks in front of goals. But, look, I just reckon Redan will have the strength and will have the numbers and will have that inside presence to get over the line by probably a couple of goals.
Very good. And Sebastopol take on Darley. And Sebastopol obviously coming off a great win last week. I reckon Shane Simpson would have been really stressing to the players last week that this is something that we need to continue. Obviously, they may not win Saturday's game, but if they can be really competitive against a Darley side who's going to finish in the top 3 possibly, I think it's a long way to show that they're going to be a massive improvement next year. If they come out and get beaten quite easily, it'd be very disappointing. So I think Darley will win the game, but I reckon Sebastopol will be very competitive. And look, Darley will know that Sebastopol are obviously on a high after last week's win, so they certainly won't come into the game thinking they'll win easily. I think it'll be a really competitive game and a really good game to watch.
Bit of a new lease of life down at Sebastopol will be now because even though, you're right, they're probably not going to win this week. Darley are a much classier side than Sebastopol are at this present point in time. It's now given them, obviously, that belief that they can win games.
Definitely.
And it wasn't one of those games where it was 5 goals to 4 and they snuck over the line. They came from 7 goals down in that third quarter to win. Exactly. So it will give them some really good belief. It will give them a reference point for when things get tough to be able to refer back to.
For sure.
Darley, for 3 quarters last week, really struggled to cast off Melton South, who were a team that Sebastopol are in a fairly similar vein with. 10 goals in the last quarter helped inflate the scoreboard, but it was only 4 or 5 goals up until then. You never know. Sebastopol will come out hard early. They will have a lot of confidence built up, and they'll probably still have that adrenaline built up from last week as well.
Yeah.
They'll come out hard early. Obviously, Darley, where they're able to weather the storm and then kick on, which I think they'll be able to do.
Very good, Shawnee. 3 games and 3 really important games, I think, as well. So it's a great weekend of Ballarat football, netball action coming up this weekend. If looking for something to do, certainly get along to one of those games. I think they'll be a great contest, whether it's football or netball. So thanks again for joining us on the BFL Footy Show for another week. Thanks, Shawnee, for coming along, mate.
Thanks, mate. Great to be here.
And thanks to Ballarat Toyota and also McDonald's Ballarat for your kind support. Goodbye for now. We'll see you next week.